Well, the Ducks and Beavers are out of the college baseball tournament. They will not be going to the College World Series.
Well, and the Pac-12 is out of everything. It's over.
It is over.
Dunzo.
Yep. The Beavers loss.
Yeah. How about just bat on your shoulder to end a game and end a conference? I'm not faulting anyone, but that's a crappy way to go out.
That
I'm very confident.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
Just sucks. You always want to, the idea, if you're going to go down swinging, but, people strike out looking. It happens.
Yeah, so so it's curtains on the Pac-12. I don't know if do you have any sort of top of mind favorite Pac-12 memories?
I have a lot. I mean, growing up here on the West Coast, and my brother played in the Pac-12, and I should have played in the Pac-12, except I was dumb and went to BYU. Dumbass. I know. I have so many. The one, honestly, for personally, because I chose not to go there, the one I won't forget is actually with you. It was the first time Oregon, under the Chip Kelly regime, went and played Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. And, I've said many times on this program, I don't miss a whole lot about football. I just don't. I played it. It was fun. I liked my buddies, but I never wake up and are like, man, I miss playing. That never happens, ever. And I remember standing down there we were for the pregame at the Rose Bowl, and both teams came out and they were doing the flyover and all that. And I just remember sitting there and looking over at the Oregon players and thinking, this is the first time, and by the way, might be the only time since I got done playing, that I was jealous. I really, I was envious of them. And so going to some of those Rose Bowls over the years, the national title games, seeing the rise of Oregon, that was really cool. And being on the field for Civil Wars, the year Washington State with Gardner Minshew took down Oregon up in the snow. I'll remember that. I'll remember, Pat Tillman at Arizona State and that Jake Plummer team, going to a Rose Bowl. There will be a handful of those times that I remember from just kind of us covering it. The Pac-12 is, and that doesn't even, go into all the other Olympic sports, but I'm just talking about mainly football, which was kind of my passion, obviously, that what we cover. But it's a sad day. 100+ years of a conference gone, seemingly for, I guess a good reason is a butt ton of money, but it stinks. Oregon State, the rise of Oregon State baseball. I remember when Oregon State won their first national championship, thinking to myself, wow. And Pat Casey was such a good dude who I just loved cheering for, and seeing them win a national title. I won't forget that one. Goosebumps.
Yeah, it is kind of sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's all over.
Yes.
Do you remember the time you farted on Clay Helton?
I do remember. Well, to be fair, I didn't fart on him.
That was one of my favorites.
He walked through a jet wash.
One of my favorite Pac-12 memories right there. That, and I always go back to those Oregon State USC football games, like
the Reggie Bush and in the fog.
There were some matchups where, and the Beavers took them out a couple times. Where, man, that was really fun, because the USC, like if you were to say, because Washington won the title in 1991, of course, but outside of that, USC's run with Pete Carroll, like if you were to say what is the crowning Pac-12 achievement, it's probably that.
It was pretty good.
I mean, they were dominant.
Yeah.
I think they won 7 or 8 straight conference titles, and
it was pretty ridiculous.
3 Heismans, 2 titles. So they were amazing. But during that time, man, did they struggle with the Beavers sometimes.
Yep. I remember that,
and it was fun to watch.
Yeah, the Halloween game, right? Was it Halloween or like right around that time when they went down there, and it was either on a Thursday or a Friday night, and Oregon State got them, and yeah,
is that Mark Sanchez throwing his wristband in the tunnel?
I think that was Sanchez.
Yeah.
And just stuff like that. And the other one that I'll remember too is again selfishly is I can't tell you how many times on a Saturday night I was sitting around your house, and you got a beverage in your hand, and you're watching a game that really doesn't even mean anything to you, and you find yourself absolutely glued to it. Pac-12 After Dark will forever have a place in my heart, because damn, that was fun.
Something like UCLA, Arizona is just going sideways in Tucson at like 10:45.
Yes.
Yeah.
47-45.
And you just can't get enough of it. And it was like Mike Leach, being involved in some of those, and it was awesome. And then, the Stanford-Oregon rivalry they had going on for a while, the slugging back and forth. It's just, it sucks. That conference being gone, It doesn't seem right. And next year, I mean, I got an email. I'm sure you did too, but we got an email for credentials for the Big Ten, and I was like, what?
Yeah,
it's like,
I declined.
Like, no. And it's 3 days, and like, I was like, really? Like that? I got to register now for the Big Ten Media Day in Indianapolis. It's very odd.
We hardly knew ye.
Yeah.
Well, of course, the Pac-12, like a lot of things we're mentioning were Pac-10 days.
Yes.
But it's kind of, I mean, it's all the same.
Well, it's Pac-8, and then it was the Pac-8, then the 10, then 12.
But I don't remember the Pac-8. I wasn't out here.
No.
Most of the stuff that I remember is Pac-12, or Pac-10.
Yep.
And that was, I think it was, it was Oregon playing in the Civil War for a trip to the Rose Bowl.
Yep.
Which was 08 or 09, whenever that was. That was amazing. And
Yep.
the year before, I think the Beavers could have gone to the Rose Bowl, but Oregon beat them.
Yeah, it was old Jeremiah Johnson. I remember being at that. I was at that game, and it was in Corvallis at the Big Burrito, and all the Oregon State fans all had roses, and because Oregon wasn't having a great year.
And after the game, the wide receiver Jason Williams, he threw those roses on the ground and he stomped them out. There's a lot of like very famous images from that.
And I remember sitting, we were standing on the sidelines, like in one of the end zone during the pregame, and it was a weird feeling. And I remember turning to. I think it was with Dusty. I was trying to remember who I was with, but I remember turning to someone, and I think it might have been the fan man, and I remember saying, "Boy, it sure feels like one team came for a Rose Bowl party, and I'm not certain that someone didn't tell the other team that they're not supposed to win." Like Oregon seemed pissed.
Didn't they blow them out?
They kicked.
Well, if I remember, the first half was super competitive. It was like fireworks on both sides, and then Oregon boat raced them in the second half.
Boat raced them, and after the game, just the sidelines were littered with roses that the Beaver fans had disgustingly thrown. That entire stadium was filled with roses, and I felt bad for the Beavers, but at the same time, it was like you just felt it. You felt that one side just thought that that they were destined to go to the Rose Bowl, and someone forgot to tell the other squad.
And then the next year, they met. The Civil War was for a trip to the Rose Bowl.
Yeah,
which was awesome.
There was so, and then we had the weird. I remember the O for Washington. Season that was hilarious.
Tyrone, was that Willingham?
That was Willingham, because I grew up with Washington. My brother, I haven't played at Washington State. I grew up with Washington being the bully, right? Like they were the team, and to see them go over, I don't think it was the over. It might have been. I don't remember if it was the over 16 or the one where they won one game.
The year of the Crapple Cup when they were going there for their first league win, both teams.
Yeah, me and my buddy, who's a diehard Husky fan, we went up to that game. It was in UW. And I remember being the same thing. I remember being on the sidelines and looking around and being like, oh my God, I'm telling you, those were the two worst looking Pac-12 teams I've ever seen in my entire life. I was just staring at the row linemen and I was like, they look like a bunch of high school linemen. And he was just shamed. He was like, I can't believe this is what my program's become. So it's just, weird things that you pick out. But
How about
20 years we've been covering this conference.
Do you remember Stanford? And I forget who was coaching them, but remember when they beat USC?
Harbaugh.
Yes, that was Harbaugh.
Was that Harbaugh?
That was Harbaugh.
It was the "What's your deal" handshake.
Yeah.
Remember afterwards, because Harbaugh went for 2, and Harbaugh beat him twice. One time they beat him really close as huge underdogs, and one time they pounded him, and there was the "What's your deal" handshake.
What's your deal? Yeah, he went for 2, and I think it was like Timmy Chang or whatever, and Pete Carroll and Harbaugh got into it. Yeah,
Timmy Chang. He was Hawaii.
I think Timmy Chang was their quarterback.
No, he played at Hawaii.
No, I think Timmy Chang is the coach at Hawaii.
No, he played at Hawaii.
All right, now I gotta
I'm
look this
gonna.
up. All right.
I'm dying on
Timmy
this
Chang definitely played at Hawaii.
Who am I thinking of then was
I
the
don't
Stanford
know.
quarterback?
I don't know, but they were like 40-point underdogs or something.
I think it was the biggest like Division I or like Power 5 upset ever because 40 or 41 points that night.
But I can't. You're right. I can picture that quarterback, and I think he was
he
from the islands.
I thought he
was
was
Tavita Pritchard.
Yes.
Maybe that's what it
Tavita
was.
Pritchard. That's who it was.
Sorry. Yeah, he was a 40. You're right. 41-point underdog to Pete Carroll's 5-time defending conference champions, and Pritchard got him. Yeah.
And then later down the road, I think Harbaugh and Gerhardt smashed him, and like Pete was like, "What's going on, man? Why are you running it up on us?"
I thought the Stanford run there
It
with
was fun.
Harbaugh and
was
David
fun.
Shaw was really cool.
Yeah, because
They were so good.
Because we also got to see the Buddy Tevens, Walt Harris days.
Yeah.
Remember, Stanford opened that brand new stadium down there, and they lost to like Sacramento State, and like 15,000 people showed up. And that was the day we vowed we would not cover Stanford again until they became a real program.
But nobody really ever expected them to be any good. You know, and then Harbaugh got there and Shaw was able to continue it. Like, they were awesome because the reason I liked them is they were a Big Ten style team.
Yeah.
And I thought that was cool for the league.
Especially when, like, with Chip and those guys, right? And the Flash, and then Stanford, you know, they had all those great linebackers and D linemen, and they just, you know, it was just the raw,
two conflicting styles.
Like the styles make fights thing. It was really cool.
All right, good times. Well,
now,
bye.
Hey, now we
Pac-12.
move on to Big Ten status.
And dude, that's great.
It will be, because this year, if things go to chalk, we are going to get the biggest game in Autzen Stadium history, and arguably the biggest game in college football this year. There's a chance when that game happens, it is 1 versus 2. Ohio State visiting Autzen. I mean, I know it sucks not having the Pac-12, but that's pretty cool.
Bright days ahead. It's going to be fun.
Bright days and $90 million TV contracts. That's, you know.
Yeah.
October 12th. Mark your calendar.
What week is that? Well, I guess I could do the math.
Looks like 6.
7.
So is there a hiccup along the way for Oregon before they get there that actually looks scary? I'm pulling up the...
Well, Oregon State.
Shut up.
What?
Yeah,
Don't be an ass. Now you're just trolling.
They open with Idaho. They then play Boise State.
Win.
They then play at Oregon State.
Loss.
At UCLA. Home against Michigan State.
No, they will be undefeated.
No, they're going to be undefeated.
They will be undefeated.
Most likely.
No, they're going to be undefeated.
Maybe.
No, they're fine.
Does Ohio State have a tough non-con game?
I'm looking here. So they start with West Virginia. Okay. Oh, no. God, that's women's... Why, if you click on Ohio State's schedule, does it have the nerve to give me women's soccer?
How dare you?
I'm seriously, I am offended.
That's probably the women's soccer team doing a bit.
I am very much bothered by that. I was like, they're opening with West Virginia. How dare excuse me, they open with Akron.
Okay.
Western Michigan.
Okay.
You want to take a guess where those two games are at?
The Horseshoe.
Yeah, they're not.
What do they call it?
They're not going to. Yeah, the
shoe.
Yeah. Then they get Marshall, also at home.
God.
Up. Then on the road for a tough one against Jonathan Smith in Michigan State.
Mutual opponent before we play.
And then they get Iowa at home.
Punts.
Whew. Hey, new offensive. You don't know what their new offense is going to look like.
That's true.
And then they get the Duckies. Yes, they will both be undefeated.
That could be 1 versus 2.
That there is a good. We'd have to look and see what Georgia's got. But yeah, in theory, that will be either 1 versus 3 or 2 versus 4, something like that. It's gonna be phenomenal.
Awesome. All right.